Votes are counted. Everyone goes to the polls. And then the Johnson County, Kansas commissioners say, hey, it's time for a 23% pay raise. Man, they really think you are a fool. They do. There's no other way to spin it. Let's go to Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute on KCMO Talk Radio. Oh, Dave, should have seen this coming. Didn't really talk about it. Didn't think it was going to happen. But here we are less than a month after the election. And the county commissioners have given themselves a 23% raise starting next year. Why do you think that is, and why time it the way they did?
Well, good morning, Pete. It's good to be here. It's part of the change in, I think, what's coming in the new county motto, modeled after Marie Antoinette, where the commission seems to believe that they just have a let the peasants eat cake attitude. They really don't care. This has been since Mike Kelly took over. He starts stifling public input. They knew this was going to create backlash, so they deliberately withheld it from the voters before the election, and now come out and, okay, now we're here. You can't do anything to us. We're going to raise our pay 23%. And they claim, look, there hasn't been an increase for some time. Fine, make your case. Make it about merit, not an entitlement. And that's the only thing they have to go on is the entitlement. You look at what they've done to the county. Even people are voting with their feet. The last 3 years, Johnson County has had a net loss on domestic migration from IRS data on tracking adjusted gross income. 3 straight years of net out migration. That's not deserving of a 23% pay increase.
No, it's not. Now, on top of that, I look at this and I say, okay, they're going to be making, $58,000 a year now, and this is not going to be the thing that bankrupts the county or anything like that, but it feels like it's more about the principle because this is not a full-time job, right? This is not a job where any of these people cannot have another job. Am I correct in that statement?
You are correct. In fact, some of them do. Like Chairman Kelly is a partner in a law firm. He's probably putting the vast majority of his time into his law partnership. But he's going to, with pay and benefits, he's going to get $122,000 for a part-time job. The staff is doing the work. I'm sure commissioners have to deal with a lot of phone calls and emails that come in, but that's pretty good money for a part-time job when what you're doing is just growing government. They've increased, like other commissions in the past. Now Johnson County has increased taxes 335% since 1997. They claim they have to do it, but they're sitting on over $200 million in reserves. That's taxes they collected and didn't spend in prior years. They don't need to do this. They just don't care about the peasants who vote them into office.
And their budget last year, or maybe it's this year, I think is $1.8 billion, and that is a sizable increase from recent years. I don't know if you have those numbers offhand, but I know they've grown this budget tremendously, especially since COVID.
Oh, sure. It's way over $1 billion net of transfers. It is staff driven. Just like I think earlier last year or this year, we wrote a piece about them hiring another government relations manager. It wasn't planned, but we want more because they want another person who's going to go lobby other people to take more of taxpayers' money and give it to Johnson County.
That was the big increase in taxes last year. Really, it was the cities to a lesser degree in Johnson County, but it really was the county that had a major increase in taxes on the people that, of course, you pay out in your property taxes. But here's the thing. Look at how the election went, right? A couple of weeks ago, you look back and Mike Kelly got basically all the people he wanted on the county commission. So in the end, the voters will get what they voted for. And I don't know what else, at least at this point, can be or is going to be done about it, because we talk about how Donald Trump had a mandate at the national level. Well, Mike Kelly can say, I got my mandate in Johnson County, like it or not.
I don't think that, I mean, he might, his ego might let him say that. I'd say that it's a lot different. It's not even comparable to what took place at the national level. This was a one person. The turnout for the county elections is really driven by the incumbency. They let's say that they haven't been as bad on the populace as the Biden administration was. The one incumbent who actually pushed back on Kelly, Charlotte O'Hara, she lost too. She did. There's also a lot to be said about how campaigns are run, and it's there was a concentrated effort to get Charlotte out of there, and frankly, she didn't always help herself the way she talked about issues. And it just maybe helped them a little bit. Charlotte makes many, many good points, but it's she also irritates some people with the way she talks about some of the issues. It's unfortunate because she makes great points and she exposes a lot of mishandling of information at the county level and how they spend. But it's they got their way. Whether they're going to be able to hold it or not is another matter.
Well, that's true,
because it's a the county races. There's just a lot. We could do a whole show on that, Pete, on how effective those races run. But I wouldn't take it. I certainly don't see it as a mandate from the populace. That was kind of a one-off with O'Hara.
Yeah. I hope you're right. You know that. I want you to be right, Dave Trabert of the Kansas Policy Institute. I just fear that the group now is going to be emboldened to continue to tax and spend and spend and tax the peasants, as you call them, of this county, us, the taxpayer. And I don't have any confidence that they are going to rein things in. Is there any reason that you are maybe slightly optimistic that they are not going to continue to screw the average citizen in this county?
Oh, no. They absolutely are emboldened. And what it's going to take is some principled people who are willing to step up and start talking about it. You have to talk about the issues in an appropriate way. You can't be flame throwing doesn't do any good. There has to be a rational, adult-driven conversation about the direction the county is going and the options they take. They're raising taxes on people who can barely afford to pay their electric bill. They just don't care, and those kind of issues need to be brought out. There needs to be a rational approach. It's going to take time to turn that commission over, but it can be done.
Mm-hmm. Do you think?
And I think, frankly, Pete, just the way that the Biden administration went too far too fast and caused a backlash, I think at some point we're going to see that against the Johnson County Commission.
Do you think the state should do anything about this? Because I know that they're focused, or they will be focused, on property taxes at the state level in Topeka come next year. But frankly, our property taxes from the state are nothing compared to what they are from the cities, the schools, and the counties that we live in. So I'm not saying that saving a little bit on state property taxes wouldn't be nice, but that's not the problem here. The problem on our property taxes are the county and the cities.
Yes, and there is something very powerful that the state can do about that. And we're going to be working closely with a lot of legislators to pass legislation that will place a limit on the dollar amount of a tax increase that cities and counties and schools can raise without public approval. So you can raise it to a certain point, but after that, you need voter approval. So like anything over 3%, you can't do it unless you get voters to say, yes, we want you to do that. It's outrageous. We've done some research, Pete, on just a relative handful of counties and cities, like the 30 largest in each category in Kansas. They're sitting on over $5 billion in cash. They do not need to raise property taxes, but they will continue to do it until the legislature steps in and says we need to empower the population to give them a vote.
And just to be clear, I'll wrap it here. The number is $200 million in reserves for Johnson County, Kansas. That is just kind of sitting there, maybe earning a little interest in the bank, but doing nothing. That theoretically could be returned to the taxpayer in some capacity.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
Actually, I rounded down. It's well over 200 million.
Oh, boy, you are such a nice guy, rounding down, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Dave, I think this is a top issue to look at when the legislature gets back to work next year. I know you guys are going to be on it at the Sentinel and with the Kansas Policy Institute, and thank you for staying on it, and we'll be talking to you more about it in the weeks ahead.
Thanks, Pete. Take care.
All right. That is outstanding work by Dave Trabert.